Okay, just on the Scout International, doing some final welding. The rocker now is welded in. Corner piece here, all the way in down here. The cab mount is welded in. The hole is drilled, as well as the front floor pan all the way around and down through the trans tunnel. On the inside, we have the floor pan welded in. Have these corner gussets currently welded in. These holes are for the last little piece I have to go on the inside. This side is all welded in as well. As I said, got the cab mount hole drilled and a little collar in there so the floor pan doesn't squish down. And we got it tack welded on the back there, same height as the factory pan. Okay, so here we have the Scout front cab mounts, both sides now welded in, as well as the floor pans. I did finish this side here. We're getting ready for the quarter panel now. It's already been fit, but all the corner gussets have been welded in. Floor pans, the cab mount hole around the edge and perimeter, all the way along to the back, and then the little gussets going up the side. As I mentioned, we have the corner panel here. It's still sitting on nicely. Goes to the rocker nicely. And the door lines up. I have the AC kit out to take a quick look over, as I have an AC specialist stopping by the facility here to just go over some installation, as it needs to be pressurized after the vehicle is running. So here we have the custom cut to length hoses, a bag full of fittings. We're gonna have to get these crimped on, probably from the local industrial shop. A couple other pieces to bolt in, the piece that goes under the dash to bolt in, as well as places for the lines to run to, all ready to go. After we kind of get the proper length dealt with, the other pieces mounted, and then finally we will connect it to the motor here. On the motor here in the corner, we have the two bolts here that come off. We have a adapter that bolts on here, and then the adapter screws to the lines that will be fitting. And this all needs to be done. It all needs to be done after we have this motor inside the frame. The frame here is just having the rear axle bearings redone, pinion seals done, and cleaned the axle housing. And then it will be getting the drum brakes reinstalled, as well as the front end here is all ready to go for the motor mounts, other than I have to cut out the original motor mounts and the trans cross member that is here still. So these won't be getting used, as we have a different cross member here and different motor mounts for the LS. Okay, we have 1/4 on there, welded, glued, and fitted great inside and out. And here we have the pieces of the next quarter panel getting ready to tack weld together, paint the back sides, and then fit to the cab or to the chassis. So we'll be cutting this quarter off here and on the inner, doing this inner bit tomorrow, just like the other side. And then doing the tail cap and the tailgate jamb, just so it's like this, all brand new. Tailgate jamb, inner quarter panel bit, and outer skin, as well as the wheel arch piece that is welded on here and goes to the quarter here on the inside. We got back cab mount gusset and another gusset back here, and the cab mount itself all looking good. And then the rear bit, continuation of the quarter panel piece, and then there's a possible piece going to get welded in here as like a mud flap kind of scenario. We'll see what they have for parts and use up what we have and go from there. Okay, just finished up the final bit of prep on this inner quarter before the quarter gets welded on now. So wire wheeled the entire surface to get all the rust off. The wheel arch, welded on the new filler arch, and prepped into the door jamb with some weld through primer, as well as blacked out the rear half of the door jamb. Welded in this gusset, which then just the final face piece goes on here after the quarter's on. So today on the Scout, we have the rear seats mounted, as well as the driver's seat. We are swapping in a BMW electric seat, so I was able to fit it in the proper spot, move it front to rear, and get it installed. As well with the back seats, they're back in the same original spot where they came out of. Just taking it out now. Just on the 1979 Scout International today. Final metal fab and whatnot has been completed on the exterior and the interior. And now it'll be going out for final sandblasting. Some holes in the firewall have been welded up. Some extra holes. And I believe since we're running a different fuse box, we'll be welding up this hole, as well as the rear wiring light harness. We'll be running a different style plug. So this will be getting welded up, and we'll probably just run a circle grommet and run the wires through to the back of the taillights. And that is everything for the 1979 Scout. Metal fabrication and final sandblast. Going to be installing the bell housing today and hopefully getting to the test fitting the motor in trans in here, and then we'll go forward with welding in the motor mounts. They are sandblasted and just need to be painted, and then the other ones need to be welded in. Okay, final little month-end hit on the 1979 Scout International. This door skin has been done today. It's about a 8 to 9 inch reproduction panel for the Scout, as well as inner jamb along the bottom. This one was done yesterday. A little bit of hammering and then a light skim of fiberglass reinforced filler on the body line and over the weld. Supposed to add a little bit of structure. Back here, the body has been flipped for the final little bit of work on the underside. Today, this got welded in all the way across. The gas tank support got welded in. Since we're not running a roll bar in this vehicle, I welded up the original roll bar holes. It's looking like on both sides. Final little gusset on the inside here. Final seat or 4 reinforcement pieces welded in, but they're laid out lightly. One big one in the rear and 2 smaller ones up front. Got a couple holes drilled with some captive nuts in the back for the front fenders to mount onto the body here. Welded up the original clutch linkage hole as we're running a hydraulic clutch and slave cylinder thing set up. So we will not need the original one that goes into the cab. We'll be running something down off the firewall to the transmission. As well on this side, captive nuts. Final little stitching on the quarter panel on the bottom here. A couple welds. I drilled some drain holes, one there, one here, and one there. These aren't really original, but originally they had open rockers and dirt was able to pile up behind the rear fender. As well in the back, they had an open rocker style, which I ended up capping. So now instead of dirt going in there, we're just gonna have simple drain holes that will drain out any water or anything in the rockers. This hole is drilled down through both layers of the rocker, so it goes into the panel behind here, where dirt and debris can also sit. And originally, that was all filled full of that spray foam. So now this is a hollow box back here, but it does have a drain hole that goes through this one into there. As well, this side, the holes for the roll bar and final bits. Anyways, that concludes the month end of May here for the 1979 Scout International. We'll be taking a look at the drivetrain on this chassis next month. As well, the motor has been test fit and mounts have been welded in and painted up, and now we'll just have to install the flywheel clutch and then bolt up the final bell housing, drive shafts as I mentioned, and then we'll be able to finish up on the chassis and finish up on the underside of this body, seal it with some epoxy primer, and then we're going to use some Rapto Rhino liner, I believe, and undercoat the entire bottom here. We'll do the entire underside, floor pans and everything, as well as the wheel wells. Up to the firewall, and the firewall will be going gloss black. So trans tunnel will get some undercoat. This will help with sound deadening and whatnot. And before that, I'll be going around with some seam sealer, it's called, and we'll be caulking all the corners, all the gaps, making sure so it's sealed up all around. There's layers and layers of metal that will all be getting sealed up with seam sealer, and then we'll be undercoating everything and should seal this thing pretty watertight so it prevents rust in the future. Thank you.